We have more for your ears only. I'm Catherine Herzog.
I'm David Alpern with this quote from the news. Their surface fleet would be at the bottom of the ocean, but they could score a lucky hit. That was Michael Connell, director of the Iranian Studies Program at the Center for Naval Analysis, predicting the outcome if Iran ignores U.S. warnings not to close the Strait of Hormuz, as European allies and Middle East oil sources support tightening sanctions on oil exports from Iran to halt its nuclear program. Tensions were further heightened last week by the assassination of yet another Iranian nuclear scientist, prompting supporters of the regime to call for retaliation in kind against Israel. Now this.
I believe that we will make an endorsement probably before South Carolina. We've discussed it, and we probably are going to get involved. I said it last week, and I believe it, that it is a game changer, and it's going to carry on into Florida.
Whether that prediction by Amy Kramer of the Tea Party Express on Breitbart TV is accurate was not clear as this weekend began, and other Tea Party activists convened in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. But overall, it's obvious that the Tea Party phenomenon has changed the face of current politics. Its energy, passion, and organizing skill helped Republicans take back the House of Representatives, setting the stage for subsequent stalemate on key tax and spending issues and the practical functioning of Congress itself, which may backfire on the Tea Party and the candidates it backs this fall.
A new view of this important political process comes from a just-published book titled The Tea Party and the Remaking of Republican Conservatism from Oxford University Press. The main author is our past guest, Theda Skocpol, a Harvard professor of government and sociology, and she joins us again now for Your Ears Only. Welcome back to our program.
Well, it's nice to be here.
First, tell us about the research methods you used.
We used all kinds of evidence. We looked at the national picture of various kinds of organizations that have pushed the Tea Party label, and we looked at the role of the media, Fox News and CNN. We pulled together everything from national surveys, but I guess what was most unique about what we did was that we wanted to get to know grassroots Tea Party protesters more directly than you can by just dropping in on a few events. So we had in-depth interviews with several dozen of them in New England, Arizona, and Virginia, and we visited Tea Party meetings in all of those regions as well to observe what was going on.
And what did you learn about the demographics of the Tea Party as it has developed?
Pulling together what we know from surveys as well as what we learned in our in our observations and interviews, Tea Partiers are older white people, mostly virtually all over 45, and many of them 60 and above. They are longtime conservatives. So, I think early on people were imagining they were in the middle of the road, but really that's not true. These are people who vote for Republicans against Democrats when it comes to that, and maybe they adhere to movements to the right of the Republican Party the rest of the time, but they are not middle-of-the-roaders.
In the early days of town hall meetings on health care reform, there were jokes about seniors demanding government keep hands off their Medicare, as if that wasn't one of the largest government programs of all. But you found a surprising number of Tea Partiers are receiving benefits from that, other government programs, which in a way subsidize their anti-government activism.
Well, that's right. Since these are older people, they are either collecting Social Security checks on Medicare or on military veterans programs, or about to be. And one of the things we got to in our open-ended interviews was how do they think about these kinds of government programs compared to others? And what we learned is, first of all, they know they're government programs and they know they're expensive, although as people who listen to Fox News, they probably don't know there's a major part of the federal budget, along with defense spending. But they think that these are benefits that go to deserving Americans who've worked hard all their lives, certainly including them and their neighbors. They're critical of government spending for people they think of as freeloaders.
And to the degree that the Tea Party makes illegal immigration a top priority, you see less racism than that same opposition to undeserved government benefits.
Yeah, we heard echoes of long-standing conservative stereotypes about lazy blacks on welfare, but the concern that is most intensely held by Tea Partiers in all regions of the country is a concern about illegal immigration, and not so much that illegal immigrants are taking American jobs, but that they are collecting educational and health benefits that are paid for by taxes on law-abiding Americans. They're very concerned about. And they're concerned about young people collecting things like Pell Grants to go to college. They consider those to be virtually welfare.
How do you see the current controversy over Mitt Romney's years at Bain Capital and whether that style of venture or vulture capitalism produces profits the Tea Party sees as really deserved?
You know, a lot of people on the left think that Tea Partiers are critical of Wall Street, but we didn't really find that grassroots Tea Partiers were critical of businesses of any kind. They're worried about corrupt connections between business and government. So they don't like government bailouts of Wall Street. But I would not expect many hardcore Tea Partiers to resonate very much with the criticism of Romney that he made his money as a venture capitalist.
On the issue of government spending and benefits, you found fault lines between the Tea Party's grassroots and some of its major funders and media champions. Talk about that.
Well, that's right. Grassroots Tea Partiers, like most Americans, really do support Social Security and Medicare, whereas the elite advocacy groups like Americans for Prosperity and Freedom Works that are pushing the Tea Party and trying to leverage the grassroots, a top priority for them is to privatize those major social entitlement programs. Now, it doesn't come to an overt clash very much, but these are definitely somewhat different policy objectives.
You also found a cultural component, a fear of changing the face of America and the traditional American ways of life, whether by immigrants or by their own children and grandchildren.
You know, Obama is the perfect storm in the minds of Tea Partiers, not so much because of his black skin, but because he's got a foreign father in an era of heightened immigration that concerns Tea Partiers. And I think some of them were quite alarmed by the fact that millions of young people supported his campaign. He symbolizes a more cosmopolitan, more socially tolerant America, and that is a scary prospect to many of the elderly Tea Partiers who say over and over again they're losing their country.
We're witnessing in the current campaign conflicts among Tea Party factions over which Republican candidate to support and even whether the standard should be conservative credentials or best chance to beat Obama. Tea Partiers, quote, want to win, you write, but you also say that they see victory in the defeat of a Senate candidate like Christine O'Donnell in Delaware because her nomination itself worried GOP moderates. So what's your best guess on how the Tea Party will unite or divide on a presidential nominee?
Well, it doesn't surprise us that grassroots Tea Partiers were not able to find one candidate to vote for other than Romney. We interviewed people in the spring of 2011, and we found that they were all unenthusiastic about Romney, mainly because they see him as inauthentic, as a sort of the ultimate shapeshifter. But at the same time, they didn't agree on any alternative. And, you know, we heard people say very pragmatic things. For example, that Sarah Palin wasn't the right candidate. They might like her, but she couldn't win. And elite ideologues and grassroots voters alike want to defeat Obama.
Theda Skocpol is a professor of government and sociology at Harvard and co-author of The Tea Party and the Remaking of Republican Conservatism, new from Oxford University Press.
Another quote from the news, "Have a great day, buddy." That was one of several U.S. Marines in a video of them urinating on Taliban corpses. The incident drew immediate condemnation by Afghan and Taliban leaders and apologies from the U.S., concerned it would undermine Washington's latest attempt to launch talks with Taliban representatives to end the war.
Coming up, the next big and little things in consumer electronics for your ears only.